Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of dance, film, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I'm thrilled to have as my guest today on Creative Focus, award-winning artist, Mr. Ariel Vergez. Ariel, welcome to Creative Focus, man. Let's chop it up.
Let's go. What's going on?
So I know you were born in the Dominican Republic and
Yes,
raised in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to Cleveland?
The first thing that brought me to Cleveland was actually school. I came out here for art school at the Cleveland Institute of Art and went there for their industrial design curriculum because I was an artist my whole life. I was like, hey, at the end of the day, I want to make sure I can apply it to a regular field, and industrial design gave me the most options because it allowed me to draw cars, allowed me to draw computers, products, and I had before graduating, I had a time like working at Hasbro and Takara and designing Transformers. So I was like a dream come true of like my heroes. Now I got to design for them, So.
Talk about the early artistic journey. When did you realize that you were an artist?
I think I was born with a pencil in my hand because I have my mom showed me in the last visit these little sketchbooks when I was like a little baby.
Wow.
Like these little books full of doodles.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't really until I started getting into comic books and trying to trace over and ink over some of those drawings that I started getting attention in school and in class. And I just been doing it,
And what role did the Cleveland Institute of Art play in your career, would you say?
Well, they're rated one of the top for industrial design. And I had a few friends that were out here in the program and they really enjoyed it. So I came out for that. And through Cleveland Institute of Art, they really emphasized a lot of the art in the first 2 years when I was attending. So I had a really rich foundation of all the traditional arts, and it's really shaped how I look at art and design conjointly, as art being the base for my design expression. So it's always been rooted in art of many different fields, and that's really shaped how I've looked at my career, going from product design, doing environmental, here and there, installation, and even like branding and other things as far as like the career path. And then through understanding the design process, been able to like implement that into my art career, where now I can do proposals and pitch decks because of my experience in design. And so they've really been symbiotic in fostering each other and how to communicate and be irreverent and unique.
For you, what's the most rewarding aspect of being an artist?
The light bulb hit when we did our first mural in LA, and just realizing like what's crazy is like the bigger you go, the faster the process because of the size. So you're a brush this big, it's tiny on a wall. Right. But the light bulb was when the community gets involved and they converse with you and communicate with you. And it's one of those things as an introvert, like I love talking with people, but it's hard to like do it just for that. But if I'm doing my thing and we're chopping it up while I'm doing my thing, like that's the best, So that way I don't feel awkward that I can't give them,
So what was the subject of the LA mural?
It was for our friend who was doing a boba shop, tea shop, and it was just looking at different ways of communicating tea. So he's like had a big tea kettle, like from Beauty and the Beast, like the mama, the papa, had like a Mickey Mouse kind of tea kettle, had a Reservoir Dogs tea kettle, like just a bunch of mashups with tea kettles.
You know, a question I always ask artists, and I'm gonna ask you, in terms of colors, do artists pick the colors that they like, that they enjoy, or is it more they go more by the subject that they're painting or drawing?
I mean, I can speak for every artist. I can speak for myself personally. It really depends. You know, sometimes it's very intentional in the sense of like, you know, that certain colors mean certain things. And then other times it's more about the harmony that the colors play. You know?
Transformative Art Fund. I know there were 7 individuals selected. You were one of the 7. When you found out that you were a recipient, what was your initial thought process?
Well, the crazy thing is when we first found out, like we couldn't tell anybody. So it was like, we're holding like this knowledge bomb for like a month, just like sitting on our hands, like we can't say anything, can't do anything. So like so my first impression was like this overwhelming gratitude at, you know, being able to, we always envision what would it look like to have, you know, a block or an area that had a lot of, you know, focused art with a theme, and it was really cool to have the opportunity through the city.
I know Mayor Bibb and City Council were very instrumental in making sure that, you know, artists had some funding to do these super projects. Describe your project.
Art Garden is looking at West Cleveland and seeing if we can, you know, place make and bring some love to the community through art. You know, one of the passages that always comes to mind is like, man can't eat on bread alone. You know, so it's like, hey, how can we uplift the spirit of community that has been traditionally neglected, and to just let them know that, you know, there is an asserted attention coming their way through other supplementary projects beyond TAF. And I got to partner up with Councilwoman Jasmine Santana, and, you know, the Art Garden became a catalyst for a lot of the developmental things that they're working on between green spaces and business development. So it was really cool how art was able to pave the way to uplift the overall community spirit and, you know, flow that into some tangible changes beyond like the emotion.
And what does the Art Garden consist of? Is it...
So the Art Garden will be 10 murals and 3 monumental sculptures in the West Cleveland area, and a large concentration on Store Avenue. And then at the end of it, through our other partner, Metro West, we're gonna do like the Art Garden Festival, which will be the first of its kind in that neighborhood. And hopefully that's something that we can continue to do on an annual by annual basis.
And who were some of the collaborators that worked with you?
We had part of the program also had No Pressure, No Diamonds, which is our training program on how we can show students how to go from sketch to wall.
Right.
And we had 10 young artists that came and went through the process, and then, you know, 5 of those decided to move forward into muralizing and actually like going beyond the mobile murals and being on site with us on the lifts and on site. So we had those 10 artists, and then I also had 2 other amazing local artists, Arlene Graff and Andrew Reach, that allowed me to tap into some of their catalog to create some sculptures out of them. So that's huge. And then for our fabrication artists, you know, we have Rust Belt that's been huge in bringing to life one of the sculptures, and then, you know, some other fabricators.
And didn't you have to have an institutional partner?
Yes.
That was part of the application process,
Yeah.
right? And who was that?
So our institutional partner is Metro West, and they've been a huge help in like cutting the gap between the permitting and city side and the, you know, the civic side of the connection.
Right.
And, you know, Jasmine Santana was our community partner that helps us, you know, get engaged with the civil side, right? Like the community and the neighbors in that area, and, you know, bringing support and just letting people know about our projects, going into town hall meetings, etc., and like really learning more about what the community is saying by engaging within their town halls and everything else.
And why was the Stockyard area selected? What made you select that area primarily?
Jasmine, we had a conversation when we were in the application phase, and Jasmine shared her vision of what she saw Store Avenue being, and she was like, every house has some flash of color, murals, some sculptures, things like that, placemaking type elements with the parks and everything else. And it lined up with, what we had was like, hey, being able to have a community that we have like a thorough theme that connects the inhabitants with the walls, and like really makes it a place that they have pride in. And the visions lined up, where.
How did you engage the community in the project at all?
We had an introduction meeting or celebration at Brasas y Salsas, and they provided food, and we got to meet a whole bunch of people. And it was like a huge little, for the neighborhood, a nice little turnout. It was like 70 to 90 people of all ages, there were kids and older peeps. And we were really surprised by how many artists showed up and wanted to know more about the project. Got in touch with a lot of the young artists that became apprentices through that program. We also went to a few town hall meetings in the neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods, as well as some community engagement meetings at CMA's Community Art and Culture Center, as well as just some knocking on the doors. And as we've been perfecting our process of engaging with the city for permits, one of the things that's been like really big is going to the immediate neighborhood and like knocking on some doors and introducing ourselves, so that when we're on site, that's not the first time they see us and like, who are you? And it's been really cool, meeting the community and talking to them, and they, they've been like the biggest supporters in helping us with like some random stuff,
What's some of the feedback you got? I mean, I watched I looked at some of the murals. They're incredible. What was some of the feedback that you got from the residents?
It's been a lot of love, It's like so many people just echoed, that. They've been hearing that stuff is coming for so long, so it's like nice to see things are going up, and they love that it's art, it's bright and hopeful, and things that they can relate to. So that's huge.
How do you think? How would you assess how art, public art, impacts a city like Cleveland? Why is public art, in your opinion, so important?
The thing with public art that I feel is like the most impactful is that it brings it out to the community, so that it's not this like hoity-toity thing that only if you understand or appreciate fine art or have a culture in it can appreciate it, so you can, you bring the gallery to you kind of thing.
Right. That's a good way to look at it.
Just letting, and what's interesting is that, like when you look at communities like Wynwood, and even in LA, where there's like a lot of murals, and some parts in Europe, where it actually like slowly, trains the community on how to appreciate or even understand the different types of art that there is. So it's a really cool way to bring art to people's daily, without it being like this extra superfluous step.
Talk a little bit about your No Diamonds, No Pressure program.
No Pressure, No Diamonds. Yeah, so No Pressure, No Diamonds came from this idea of, like bringing a little bit of like the design thinking into ours. If a chef can create, like a sous chef can create a really tight recipe that anyone can follow and get pretty good results, can we do something similar in the visual arts, and specifically using aerosols like spray paint, because they have a unique way of working. So we developed this 5-step process of how you can learn the basics and mechanics of spray paint in a way that's more technical than expressive. In the sense of, hey, I want to teach you how to use this in a technical way, so so that then you can choose to utilize that knowledge expressively after the program.
And what's the most rewarding aspect of working in the program? What you say?
Well, I mean, you know, what was crazy is you hear it all the time where like teaching is the greatest mentor, and it wasn't until we started like really breaking this process down and teaching the students that we like really solidified our process and became so much more efficient in it. So it was wild that seeing their jump from, you know, we have artists that were like abstract artists, never done spray paint, never painted a figure, you know, all ranges, and they're able to execute utilizing this process in a really high capacity way. While I'm getting better faster because of, you know, really methodically breaking them down. So
how were they selected? How were the artists selected?
We had a pretty like open door type of thing where it's like, hey, they came to a meeting that Metro West hosted. We had a little orientation, and then, you know, they showed up and kept showing up.
Ariel, how do you feel like Cleveland is unique? You know, because every city's different in terms of art and art creation.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cleveland? Why we're unique?
You know, the most unique thing about Cleveland for me, coming from like an LA, Miami scene, is just how like open the art community is. In these other cities, you know, it's like if anybody knew somebody in the city, it was like all tight-lipped, and, you know, people are like holding on to their own. Over here, it's like one Assembly for the Arts meeting, and then like got connected to almost everyone in the city, you know, like just through these meetings, through these public-ish meetings. And yeah, it's really amazing to see such an open and welcoming community, as well as like a really approachable art infrastructure.
What's the most valuable piece of knowledge that someone has bestowed on you about art in your career, do you think? Or vice versa, something that you told an artist, a young artist, some advice you gave a young artist, or would give a young artist?
I mean, the only thing that comes up to me is when the question is like, why art?
Right, that's a good question.
Right, and it's, for me, art is like breathing. You know, so I don't think about breathing. I just have to do it. If I don't, I'm suffocating, you know? So that would be what I would say. Is like, hey, if it's like breathing, like, you just have to keep doing it.
I'll make sure I remember that. What's next for you, Ariel?
Next, I mean, we're still in the midst of it, so, you know, we really want to finish out these last murals and sculptures strong. You know, now that the team has had a few murals in the books and like really gone through the process, you know, the next step is them like taking charge and you know, owning one of their own murals.
Wow.
You know, so that, hey, we'll all help out in the beginning phase to get it blocked in, but after that, you know, all the decisions are theirs, you know, and it's not.
That's cool.
It's not up to me, you know. It's like, hey, you make the decision now. I'm like,
hey man, thanks for being on the show. It's been a blast,
appreciate you, sir.
man. It's been a blast. So that's it, Cleveland. We're out. But remember, a true artist is not only inspired, but inspires others. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for TV20 and Creative Focus. Until the next time becomes our time, be well, be safe.